The knockout stage of the 2010 FIFA World Cup was the second and final stage of the World Cup, following the group stage. It began on June 26 with a round of 16 matches, and ended on July 11 with the final match of the tournament held at Soccer City, Johannesburg, in which Spain beat the Netherlands 1-0 after extra time to claim their first World Cup. The top two teams from each group advanced to the knockout stage to compete in a single-elimination style tournament. A third-place match is included and played between the two losing teams of the semi-finals. In the knockout stage, if a match was level at the end of 90 minutes, extra time of 2 periods would be played. If the score was still level after extra time, the match would be decided by a penalty shootout. All times listed are South African Standard Time. Qualified teams, bracket, round of 16, Uruguay vs South Korea. Uruguay vs the South Korea was the first match in the round of 16. The match was held at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth before a low crowd of 30,597. Uruguay won the match 2-1. Uruguay's 2 goals came from Luis Suarez, the second of which broke a 1-1 deadlock in the 80th minute. Suarez's first was scored when Diego Forlán made a low cross from the left that was not dealt with by the Korean defense, leaving Suarez to score at the back post. Uruguay subsequently adopted a defensive posture and Korea had more chances to score. Eventually, Lee Chung-yong equalized in the 68th minute, scoring a headed goal following a free kick. Despite Korea then having chances to win the match, it was Suarez who scored Uruguay's winner in the 80th minute with a curling strike from the edge of the 18-yard box that went in off the inside of the post. Suarez's goal was regarded as one of the tournament's best. Korea missed more good chances in the final minutes of the game, giving Uruguay victory and passage to the quarterfinals for the first time since 1970, where they would face Ghana. After the match, the Uruguayan coach Oscar Tabarez attributed his team's successful run to the number of players with experience at top-level overseas clubs. Korean coach Hyung-moo claimed his side controlled the match and that Uruguay's goals were lucky. United States vs Ghana. United States vs Ghana was played on June 26, 2010 at the Royal Bafokeng Stadium in Rustenburg. The match was watched by 19 million Americans, making it the most-watched association football match in American television history. The match was won by Ghana in extra time, after Asamoah Gyan broke a 1-1 deadlock. Kevin Prince Boateng scored the opening goal of the match for Ghana in the 5th minute. The goal followed an error by Ricardo Clark, who lost the ball to Ghana in midfield. Boateng took the ball to the edge of the penalty area, beating U.S. goalkeeper Tim Howard with a low left-foot shot. Landon Donovan equalized with a penalty kick in the 62nd minute, awarded after Jonathan Mensah fouled Clint Dempsey. The U.S. had chances to win the game thereafter, but they were unable to get past Ghana's goalkeeper Richard Kingson. The match thus went to extra time. In the 3rd minute, Gyan latched onto a high long ball, chesting it down and holding off 2 defenders before scoring the winner. After the match, Ghana's coach Milovan Rajvac hailed his side's achievement in becoming one of the best 8 teams in the world, but regretted the number of players that would miss the quarter-final against Uruguay because of injury or suspension. The president of the Soccer Federation, Sunil Gulati, lamented the team's failure to make the quarter-finals and thereby further raise the profile of the sport in the U.S. Germany vs England. Germany and England played each other on June 27, 2010 at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein. Germany took the lead in the 20th minute after English defenders Matthew Upson and John Terry were at fault in allowing Miroslav Klose to latch onto a long goal kick from Manuel Neuer and score. Lukas Podolski doubled Germany's lead 12 minutes later, although England pulled 1 goal back through Upson in the 37th minute, heading in a cross from Steven Gerrard. A controversial moment then occurred in the 39th minute. A shot by Frank Lampard was not awarded as a goal despite the ball bouncing off the crossbar and clearly crossing the line. Had the goal been awarded, England would have equalised at 2-2. Thomas Müller 1 quarter later subsequently scored 2 goals in the second half, extending Germany's lead to 4-1. His first came at the end of a swift German counter-attack in the 67th minute, the goal being assisted by Bastian Schweinsteiger. His second came from an error by Gareth Barry and was set up by Mesut Ozil. Germany won the match soundly, 4-1. Germany progressed to meet Argentina in the quarter-final. Argentina vs Mexico. Argentina and Mexico met on June 27, 2010 at Soccer City in Johannesburg. Argentina won the match 3-1 for a place in the quarter-finals against Germany. The match was overshadowed by a refereeing error that allowed Argentina's opening goal. Carlos Vez headed the ball into the net from a Lionel Messi pass in the 25th minute, but replays showed there were no players between Vez and the goal, rendering his goal clearly offside. Replays of the goal were shown in the stadium, but the decision to award the goal was not overturned. Vez said he knew that the goal was offside, but chose not to say anything. Argentina's second goal came from a defensive error from Ricardo Osorio as a poor pass out of defense was snatched by Gonzalo Higuain to round the keeper and score. After half-time, Vez scored his second goal of the match to give Argentina a 3-goal lead, with a long-range shot that found the top corner of the Mexican goal. Javier Hernandez scored for Mexico in the 71st minute, but it turned out to be no more than a consolation goal, as Argentina held on to win 3-1. Mexico's coach Javier Aguirre resigned after the match, accepting responsibility for not meeting the team's target of the quarter-finals. Vez conceded that he was aware his first goal was offside at the time, although Aguirre deflected the blame for his side's loss away from the refereeing. Netherlands vs Slovakia. The Netherlands and Slovakia played on June 28, 2010 at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. The Netherlands won 2-1. The Netherlands' first goal was an excellent individual effort from Arjen Robben in the 18th minute, taking on the Slovakian defence with the ball before scoring from 25 yards. The Dutch had chances to extend their lead in the second half. Arjen Robben cut inside on his left foot just like he did when he scored the first goal, but this time the Slovak goalkeeper Jan Mucha saved the shot going to his far post. The Slovaks also had two big opportunities to equalise but forced two great saves from Martin Stekelenburg. The Dutch, however, in the 84th minute sealed their win, with Wesley Sneijder scoring off an assist from Dirk Kuyt into an unguarded net after Kuyt got the ball past the Slovak keeper. Ranking-cubed Bert Wittke slotted a penalty kick late in stoppage time, but it was no more than a consolation goal for Slovakia. The penalty had been awarded for a trip on Wittke by the Dutch goalkeeper Martin Stekelenburg. The Netherlands' win threatened to be overshadowed by Robin van Persie responding angrily to being substituted by coach Bert van Marwijk. Van Marwijk called a team meeting over the incident, and insisted later that there was no residual unrest in the squad. Brazil vs Chile. Brazil soundly defeated Chile 3-0 on June 28, 2010 at Ellis Park Stadium, Johannesburg to progress to a quarter-final match against the Netherlands. Brazil's first goal came from a corner kick taken by Macon in the 34th minute, with Juan heading the ball into the goal without being marked. Brazil had doubled its lead within 5 minutes after a free-flowing passing movement involving Robinho and Kaká that teed up Luis Fabiano to score after taking the ball around the Chilean goalkeeper. Robinho himself sealed victory for Brazil in the second half, scoring following a long run with the ball by Ramires. After the match, Chile's coach Marcelo Bielsa conceded that his team had been outplayed, arguing that in his position there was little one can do, when up against a team of Brazil's quality. Paraguay vs Japan. Paraguay and Japan met at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria on June 29, 2010. The match was decided by a penalty shootout after the score was locked at 0-0 for 120 minutes. Paraguay won the shootout and progressed to its first-ever World Cup quarter-final. The match was a generally unexciting affair, as Japan adopted a defensive posture while Paraguay itself maintained a solid defense. The first half produced the occasional chance on goal, with Lucas Barrios having a shot saved shortly before a long-distance shot from Daisuke Matsui hit the crossbar of Paraguay's goal. The second half was similar, with either side producing occasional chances to score rather than periods of dominance. The result of the deadlock was extra time, which continued goalless. A penalty shootout ensued, in which Yuichi Kamano missed a spot kick for Japan. Paraguay scored all 5 of its penalties, clinching the win and passage to the quarterfinals. After the match, Japan's coach Takeshi Okada resigned and Shunsuke Nakamura retired from international football. Spain vs Portugal. Spain defeated Portugal 1-0 in the Iberian Derby to progress to the quarter-finals where they were to play Paraguay. The game took place on Tuesday 29 June 2010 at the Cape Town Stadium. Spain dominated the game with a ball possession ratio of 62% and several opportunities, but had to endure a pair of missed chances by the Portuguese in the first half, including one by Hugo Almeida which nearly resulted in a goal. In the second half, the Portuguese attacking threat decreased, and the entry of Fernando Llorente for Fernando Torres on the field brought new energy to the Spanish team. The only goal of the match came on the 63rd minute. David Villa picked up a brilliant pass by Xavi, having his first shot saved, but then lifted the rebound into the roof of the net. Post-match replays showed that the goal was scored from an offside position. Quarterfinals, Netherlands vs Brazil. The Netherlands vs Brazil was the first quarter-final match, held on July 2, 2010 at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth. The Netherlands won 2-1 after recovering from a 1-0 deficit, knocking the 5-time world champions Brazil out of the tournament. The Netherlands team was affected by an injury to Jiris Matheson before the match. His replacement in defence Andre Uijer and fellow central defender John Heitinga were at fault for Brazil's opening goal in the 10th minute, when Robinho was allowed to latch onto a deep pass from Felipe Melo and score without being challenged by the defence. For the rest of the first half, the Dutch were largely frustrated by the Brazilian defence, and needed to rely on Martin Stekelenburg's goalkeeping to prevent Brazil from extending its lead. However, 8 minutes after half-time, the Dutch equalised through a goal scored by Wesley Sneijder. The goal was initially recorded as an own goal by Felipe Melo, but FIFA overturned the decision to credit the goal to Sneijder. Having equalised, the Netherlands subsequently took the lead from an Arjen Robben corner kick in the 68th minute, Sneijder heading the ball in after a flick-on from Dirk Kuyt. Brazil's chances of restoring parity were damaged when Felipe Melo was sent off for a stamp on Robben. The Netherlands held out for the win, thereby earning passage to the semi-finals. Brazil's coach Dunga confirmed after the match that he would be leaving the position upon the expiry of his contract, admitting responsibility for Brazil's defeat. The Dutch coach Bert van Marwijk attacked the Brazilian team after the match, claiming they had provoked his side, and that Melo's stamp on Robben left him ashamed for Brazilian football. Uruguay vs Ghana. Uruguay and Ghana met on July 2, 2010 at Soccer City, Johannesburg for a place in the semi-final against the Netherlands. It was the first time that the teams had ever played each other in a senior competitive football match. After a dramatic 120 minutes of play that finished 1-1, Uruguay won in a penalty shootout 4-2. Uruguay dominated the early periods of the match, but suffered an injury to captain Diego Lugano in the first half. Just before half-time, Ghana took the lead when Sulley Muntari was allowed time on the ball by Uruguay, and took advantage by scoring with a shot from 40 yards. After half-time, Diego Forlán pulled Uruguay level with a free kick from the left side of the field that went over the head of Ghana's goalkeeper Richard Kingson. While both teams had chances to win, the match proceeded to extra time as the scores remained level. Late in extra time, Ghana sent a free kick into the box. Luis Suarez blocked Steven Appiah's shot on the goal line. On the rebound, Dominic Adai's header was heading into the goal, but Suarez blatantly blocked the shot with his hands to save what would have been the extra-time winner and he was red-carded. Asamoah Gyan missed the ensuing penalty kick off the crossbar and Suarez celebrated the miss. In the shootout, Gyan converted his penalty, as did everybody else until Uruguay goalkeeper Fernando Muslera saved captain John Mentz's penalty. Uruguay's Marxi Pereira then hit his penalty over the bar, but then Adai's penalty was saved by Muslera. Sebastián Abu converted Uruguay's fifth spot kick by lightly chipping it Panenka style to win the match. After the game, Suarez said, "I made the save of the tournament," and, referring to the infamous handball goal scored by Diego Maradona in the 1986 World Cup, claimed that the hand of God now belongs to me. Suarez claimed he had no alternative and was acting out of instinct. Forlan agreed that Suarez saved the game. Suarez this time, instead of scoring goals, he saved one. "I think he saved the game." Ghana coach Milovan Rajvac said the play was an injustice, and Suarez was labeled a villain and a cheat. But Uruguay coach, Oscar Tabarez, said these labels were too harsh. "Well, there was a handball in the penalty area, there was a red card and Suarez was thrown out. Saying that Ghana were cheated out of the game is too harsh. We have to go by the rules. It might have been a mistake by my player, but I do not like that word cheating, unregistered trademark." Ghana was the last African team left in the tournament, and if they had won, they would have been the first team from Africa to ever make the semi-finals. Thus, Suarez was said to have enraged an entire continent, Africa. But others viewed him as a hero who sacrificed himself in the semi-final for the unlikely chance that his team could win. A distraught Gyan conceded, "I would say Suarez is a hero now in his own country, because the ball was going in and he held it with his hand. He is a hero now." Argentina vs Germany. On July 3, 2010, Germany thrashed Argentina for a 0-0 at the Cape Town Stadium, to reach the semi-finals. It was the third time in the tournament that Germany had scored 4 goals in a match. Germany's first goal was scored by Thomas Marwan Courteler in the 3rd minute of the match, with a header from a free kick taken by Bastian Schweinsteiger. Early in the second half, Argentina pressed Germany and came close to scoring on a number of occasions, but Germany hit back on a counter-attack in the 67th minute, when Miroslav Klose scored into an empty goal from a pass by Lukas Podolski. Germany's third came from Arne Friedrich after sliding it inside by a pass from Bastian Schweinsteiger 7 minutes later, before Klose took the score to for a 0-0, volleying the ball into the net off a cross from Mesut Ozil. The for a 0-0 defeat was Argentina's biggest loss at a World Cup since 1974. Germany's coach Joachim Löw paragraph W hailed his side's performance as one of absolute class, but admitted the suspension of Marwan Courteler for picking up a yellow card was a blow. Paraguay vs Spain. On July 3, 2010, Spain defeated Paraguay 1-0, to secure entry to the semi-finals where they would meet Germany. It was the first time that Spain had progressed to the semi-final of a World Cup since 1950. While for the defeated Paraguay, the quarter-final appearance was also the country's best ever performance. The first half of the match finished goalless, although both sides had chances to score and Paraguay's Nelson Valdez had a goal ruled out as offside. The match suddenly became eventful in the second half due to a string of penalty kicks. First, Oscar Cardoso was pulled down by Gerard Piqué copyright in Spain's penalty area and Paraguay was awarded a penalty. Cardoso took the penalty himself, but it was saved by Spain's goalkeeper Iker Casillas. Spain soon after launched an attack at the other end of the field, in which David Villa was ruled by the referee to have been brought down by Antola N. Alcaraz. Xabi Alonso stepped up to take the penalty kick and seemed to have scored, only for the referee to order it be retaken because of encroachment by a Spanish player into the penalty area before the kick was taken. Xabi Alonso's retake was saved by Paraguayan goalkeeper Justo Villa. As a result, the score remained 0-0 after the 3 penalty kicks. However, Spain ultimately managed to take the lead in the 82nd minute. David Villa collected a rebounded shot off the post from Pedro, to score himself off the post. The goal turned out to be the winner for Spain. After the match, Spain's coach Vicente Del Bosque conceded that his side were not playing at their best and were starved of possession. He also noted his view that Spain's next opponents Germany were the best team at the World Cup. Paraguay's coach Gerardo Martino stated he would be leaving his position at the end of his contract. Semi-finals, Uruguay vs Netherlands. Uruguay played the Netherlands in the first semi-final on July 6, 2010 at the Cape Town Stadium. The Netherlands won the match 3-2, thereby qualifying for the final for the first time since the 1978 World Cup. Uruguay adopted a defensive posture early in the match, but were only able to hold their opponents scoreless for 18 minutes, when Dutch captain Giovanni van Bronckhorst scored from 35 yards into the top right corner of the goal. However, the Netherlands were unable to capitalize on their lead, as Diego Forlán equalized in the 41st minute when his shot from 25 yards hit squarely in the middle of the goal was misjudged by goalkeeper Martin Stekelenburg, who missed it by millimeters. The Netherlands regained the lead in the second half, as a pass from Van der Vaart reached Sneijder, who dished it into the side of the goal as Muslera dived and missed it by inches. Then, 3 minutes later, Kuyt crossed to Robben, who headed it into the goal to make it 3-1. The Netherlands suffered a late scare when Marci Pereira, who failed a penalty against Ghana, scored in stoppage time from a free kick. However, the score remained 3-2 despite desperate Uruguayan attempts to equalize. After the match, Uruguay's coach Oscar Tabarez spoke of his pride in his team for reaching the semi-finals. The Netherlands progressed to the final of the tournament to face Spain. Germany vs Spain. On July 7, 2010, Spain defeated Germany 1-0 at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban to progress to the World Cup final against the Netherlands. It was the first time that Spain had ever gone through to the final of the World Cup, while it was the second consecutive World Cup in which Germany had lost in the semi-finals. Spain had the bulk of possession throughout the match, with Germany adopting a tight defensive structure. Germany created chances on the counter-attack, but Spain also went close to scoring on numerous occasions in the first and second halves. The match was deadlocked at 0-0 until the 73rd minute, when Spain was awarded a corner. The corner, taken by Xavi, was met by Carles Puyol, who headed the ball into the net as Manuel Neuer didn't do much to protect it to give Spain the lead. Thereafter, Spain protected its advantage and won the match. After the match, Spain's coach Vicente Del Bosque praised the excellent performance of his team, while Germany's coach Joachim Löw paragraph W predicted that Spain would win the final. Third-place playoff. On July 10, 2010, at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth, Germany defeated Uruguay by 3-2 to claim third place at the World Cup for the second successive time after also finishing third at the 2006 FIFA World Cup. Bastian Schweinsteiger managed to take a shot towards the goal, which Muslera rebounded towards Thomas Marwan Courtelet, who scored. Uruguay forced their way back into the game after Luis Suarez's pass put Edinson Cavani through on the left and he slid low into the far corner to put them on level terms after 28 minutes. Diego Forlán then put them ahead in the second half with a beautiful side volley from the edge of the penalty box, while goalkeeper Hans-Jahr Paragraph but just stood there hopelessly after 51 minutes. Marcel Janssen then scored on 56 minutes after Muslera came for Jar copyright Rami Boateng's cross but missed it right in front of Janssen, allowing him to head into an empty net. Mesut Ozil took a corner in the 82nd minute, which reached a German player, bounced off him and went up to Khedira's head, who headed it in. Uruguay almost forced extra time when Forlán curled a 92nd minute free kick onto the bar, but Germany held on to win the match. After the game, Uruguay coach Oscar Tabarez insisted that his side did not deserve to be on the losing side. "We achieved an equal game against a real power. We could have won because in the game, they were not superior to us. We're not that far away from Germany's level. The route has been marked. We must learn from this." Final. References. External links. Official website. The official 2010 host country website.